I am so clever that sometimes I don't understand a single word of what I am saying. I did then what I knew how to do, and now that I know better, I do better. The measure of intelligence is the ability to change. People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought, which they seldom use. It is not that I am so smart, but I stay with the questions much longer. Like I said earlier, you might be poor, your shoes might be broken, but your mind is a place, a palace, whatever the cost of our libraries. The price is cheap compared to that of an ignorant nation. A quotation is a serviceable substitute for wit. You are not entitled to your opinion. You are entitled to your informed opinion, and no one is entitled to be ignorant. It takes something more of an intelligence to act intelligently as an intellectual. Yes, and never deny an intellectual is someone whose mind watches itself. I like this because I am happy to be both halves, the watcher and the watched. Can they be brought together? This is a practical question. We must get down to it. I despise intelligence, really means I cannot bear my doubts. Your assumptions are your windows on the world. Scrub them off every once in a while, or the light won't come in. As long as she thinks of a man, nobody objects to a woman thinking. Do stuff, be clenched, curious, not waiting for inspiration's shove or society's kiss on your forehead. Pay attention. It's all about paying attention. Paying attention is a vitality. Vitality. It connects you with others. It makes you eager. Stay eager. A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. But when you add to that a literate tongue or pen, then you have something very special. When you add to that a literate tongue or pen, then you have something very special. A thinker sees his own actions as experiments and questions, as attempts to find out something. Success and failure are, for him, answers above all. Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence, whether much that is glorious, whether all that is profound does not spring from disease of thought, from moods of mind exalted at the expense of the general intellect. If we encounter a man of rare intellect, we should ask him what books he reads. I'd take the awe of understanding over the awe of ignorance any day. It is one thing to be clever and another to be wise. I not only use all the brains that I have, but all I can borrow. Be less curious about people and more curious about ideas. I make mistakes like the next man. In fact, being, forgive me, rather cleverer than most men, my mistakes tend to be correspondingly huger. Belief is the death of intelligence. Reason is intelligence taken exercise. Imagination is intelligence with an erection. Imagination is intelligence with an erection. He had just about enough intelligence to open his mouth when he wanted to eat, but certainly no more. Nothing whets the intelligence more than a passionate suspicion. Nothing develops all the faculties of an immature mind more than a trail running away into the dark. I am a pessimist because of intelligence, but an optimist because of will. The more stupid one is, the closer one is to reality. The more stupid one is, the clearer one is. Stupidity is brief and artless, with intelligence squirms and hides itself. Intelligence is unprincipled, but stupidity is honest and straightforward. It is the job of thinking people not to be on the side of the executioners. The intelligence of that creature known as a crowd is a square foot of the number of people in it. Many wished to say something very sensible, but knew not how. Any woman who is sure of her own wits is a match at any time for a man who is not sure of his own temper. Education is not there's no substitute for intelligence. Education is no substitute for intelligence. I don't know what good it is to know so much and be smart as whips, and all of it doesn't make you happy. Men fear a thought as they fear nothing else on earth, or more than ruin, more than even than death. Thought is subversive and revolutionary, destructive and terrible. Thought is merciless to privilege, established institutions, and comfortable habits. Thought is anarchic, and lawless, and different to authority, careless, respect my authority, careless of the well-tried wisdom of the ages. A thought looks into the pit of hell and is not afraid. Thought is great and swift and free, the light of the world and the chief glory of man. Before I go on with this short history, let me make a general observation. The test of the first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. One should, for example, be able to see that things are hopeless and yet be determined to make them otherwise. This philosophy fitted onto my early adult life when I saw the improbable, the implausible, often the impossible come true. Spitting Toucan Scooby Doo to you. I used to think that finding the right one was about the woman having a list of certain qualities. Rapid monopoly, intelligence without ambition as a bird without wings, intelligence without ambition as a bird without wings, because there are three classes of intellects. One which comprehends by itself, another which appreciates what others comprehend, and the third which neither comprehends by itself nor by the showing of others. The first is the most excellent, the second is good, the third is useless. Eleanor agreed to it all, for she did not think he deserved a compliment of rational opposition. A man cannot survive except through his mind. He comes on earth unarmed. His brain is his only wagon. Animals obtain food by force. Man had no claws, no fangs, no horns, no great strength of muscle. He must plant his food or hunt it. To plant, he needs a process of thought. To hunt, he needs weapons, and to make weapons, a process of thought. From the simplest necessity to the highest religious abstraction, from the wheel to the skyscraper, everything we are and we have comes from a single attribute of man, the function of his reason and mind. I can normally tell how intelligent a man is by how stupid he thinks I am. I think I only appear smart by staying quiet as often as possible. Intelligence is one of the greatest human gifts, but all too much a search for knowledge drives out the search for love. This is something else I've discovered for myself very recently. I present it to you as a hypothesis. Intelligence without the ability to give and receive affection leads to mental and moral breakdown, a neurosis, and possibly even psychosis. And I say that the mind absorbed in and involved in itself as a self-centered end to the exclusion of human relationships can only lead to violence and pain. A great deal of intelligence can be invested in ignorance when the need for illusion is deep. Interpretation is the revenge of the intellectual upon art. Nature never appeals to intelligence until habit and instinct are useless. There is no intelligence where there is no need of change. Beauty fades, dumb is forever. Man is so intelligent that he feels impelled to invent theories to account for what happens in the world. Unfortunately, he is not quite intelligent enough in most cases to find correct explanations, so that when he acts on his theories, he behaves very often like a lunatic. I prefer an intelligent hell to a stupid paradise. The first men to be created and formed were called the sorcerer of fatal laughter, the sorcerer of night unkempt, and the black sorcerer. They were endowed with intelligence. They succeeded in knowing all that there is in the world when they looked instantly, and they saw all that is around them, and they comprehend in turn the arc of heaven and the round face of the earth. Then the Creator said, they know all. What shall we do with them now? And let their sight reach only to that which is near. Let them see only a little of the face of the earth. Are they not by nature simple creatures of our making? Must they also be gods? You have killed my love. You used to stir my imagination. Now you don't even stir my curiosity. You simply produce no effect. I loved you because you were marvelous, because you had genius and intellect, because you realized the dreams of great poets and gave shape and substance to the shadows of art. You had thrown that all away. You are a shallow and stupid. The test of the first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. To stupid people, smart people seem crazy, rampant or endlessly. I said that previously. Intelligence is an ancient accident. Intelligence is an accident of evolution and not necessarily an advantage. Hide yourself in God. So when a man wants to find you, he will have to go there first. It hurts. Democracy is a pathetic belief and collective wisdom of individual ignorance. No one in this world, so far as I know, and I have researched a record for years and employed agents to help me, has ever lost money by underestimating the intelligence of the great masses of the plain people, nor has anyone ever lost public office thereby. An intelligent person can rationalize anything. A wise person doesn't even try. A dozen more questions occurred to me, not to mention 22 possible solutions to each one, 16 resultant hypotheses and counter theorems, 8 abstract speculations and quadrilateral equations, 2 axioms, and a limerick, the raw intelligence. That's raw intelligence for you. If we revert to history, we shall find that the women who have distinguished themselves have neither been the most beautiful nor the most gentle of the sex. My favorite definition of an intellectual, someone who has been educated beyond his or her intelligence. My favorite definition of an intellectual, someone who has been educated beyond his or her intelligence. Men know that women are an overmatch for them, and therefore they choose the weakest or they're the most ignorant. If they did not so, they never could be afraid of women knowing as much as themselves. Every now and then a man's mind rhymes is stretched by a new idea or sensation and never shrinks back to his former dimensions. I have studied many philosophers and many cats. The wisdom of cats is infinitely superior. The advancement of science and the fusion of information is the best alignment to true liberty. A military intelligence is a contradiction in terms. Jasna had once defined a fool as a person who ignored information. Jasna had once defined a fool as a person who ignored information because it disagreed with a desired result. Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence. Beauty is a sign of intelligence. Do not think of knocking out another person's brains because he differs in opinion from you. It would be as irrational to knock yourself on the head because you differ from yourself 10 years ago. The only means of strengthening one's intellect is to make up one's mind about nothing, to let the mind be a furrow affair for all thoughts. A learned fool is more a fool than an ignorant fool. A learned fool is more a fool than an ignorant fool. I imagine that the intelligent people are the ones so intelligent that they don't even need or want to look intelligent anymore. The ugly and the stupid have the best of it in this world. They can sit at their ease and gape at the play. If they know nothing of victory, they are at least spared the knowledge of defeat. They live as well. We all should live undisturbed, indifferent, and without a disquiet. They never bring ruin upon others, nor ever receive it from alien hands. Your rank and wealth, Henry, my brain, such as they are, my art, whatever it may be worth. Dorian Gray's good looks, we shall all suffer for what the gods have given us. Suffer terribly, terribly indeed. Infinity, eternity. People who boast about their IQ are losers. The IQ and life expectancy of the average American recently passed each other in opposite directions. Human beings always do the most intelligent thing after they've tried every stupid alternative, and none of them have worked. When health is absent, wisdom cannot reveal itself. Art cannot manifest strength, cannot fight, wealth becomes useless, and intelligence cannot be applied. I think a lot of psychopaths are just geniuses who drove so fast that they lost control. Genius is the ability to independently arrive and understand concepts that would normally have to be taught by another person. What I learned on my own, I still remember. Controversial, as we all know, is often a euphemism for interesting and intelligent. Controversial, as we all know, is often a euphemism for interesting and intelligent. Why do I do anything, she says? I'm educated enough to talk myself out of any plan, to deconstruct any fantasy, explain away any goal. I'm so smart I can negate any dream. Madness is the acme of intelligence. She was heartily ashamed of her ignorance, a misplaced shame where people wish to attach. They should always be ignorant. To come with a well-informed mind is to come with an ability of administering to the vanity of others, which is sensible which a sensible person would always wish to avoid. A woman, especially if she have the misfortune of knowing anything, should conceal it as well as she can. The weak are dominated by their ego. The wise dominate their ego, and the intelligent are in a constant struggle against their ego. That they will envy you for your success, your wealth, for your intelligence, for your looks, for your status, but rarely for your wisdom. Men have called me mad, but the question is not settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence, whether much of that is glorious, whether all that is profound, does not spring from disease of thought, from moods of mind exalted at the expense of the general intellect. They who dream by day are cognizant of many things which escape those who only dream by night. In their great visions they obtain glimpses of eternity and fertile, and waken to find that they have been upon the very verge of the great secret, and snatches they learn something of the wisdom which is of good, and more of the mere knowledge which is of evil. They penetrate, however, rudderless or compassless into the vast ocean of the light ineffable. I don't fancy colors of the face. I'm always attached to the colors of the brain. Why is being a nerd bad? Saying I notice you're a nerd is like saying, hey, I notice that you'd rather be intelligent than stupid, that you'd rather be thoughtful than vapid, that you believe that there are things that matter more than the arrest record of Lindsay Lohan. Why is that? Because I am intelligent. You can put too much stock in human intelligence. It doesn't annihilate human nature, but I've learned that intelligence alone doesn't mean a damn thing. Herein, that your university intelligence, education, knowledge have all become great idols. But I know now there's one thing you've all overlooked: intelligence and education that hasn't been tempered by human affection isn't worth a damn. Intelligence is one of the greatest human gifts, but all too often a search for knowledge drives out the search for love. Intelligence without the ability to give and receive affection leads to mental and moral breakdown, to neurosis, and possibly even psychosis. Anyone who knew Violet could tell she was thinking hard because her long hair was tied up in a ribbon to keep it out of her eyes. Violet had a real knack for inventing and building strange devices, so her brain was often filled with images of pulleys, levers, and gears, and she never wanted to be distracted by something as trivial as her hair. I much prefer the sharpest criticism of a single intelligent man to the thoughtless approval of the masses. They think that intelligence is about noticing things are relevant, detecting patterns in a complex world. Intelligence consists in ignoring things that are irrelevant, avoiding false patterns. Science is the process that takes us from conclusion, confusion, understanding. Science is the process that takes us from confusion, understanding. I have long held the opinion that the amount of noise that anyone can bear undisturbed stands in inverse proportion to his mental capacity, and therefore be regarded as a pretty fair a measure of it. Intelligence is not measured by how much you know, but by how much you have the capacity to learn. In our civilization and under our republican form of government, intelligence is so highly honored that it is rewarded by exemption from the cares of office. Do you see how an act is not, as young men think, like a rock that one picks up and throws, and it hits or misses, and that's the end of it. When that rock is lifted, the earth is lighter, and the hand that bears it heavier. When it is thrown, a circus of the stars respond, and where it strikes or falls, the universe is changed. On every act, the balance of the whole but depends. The winds and seas, the powers of water and earth and light, all that these do, and all that the beast and the green things do is well done and rightly done. All these act within the equilibrium from the hurricane and the great whales surround and sound into a fall of a dry leaf and a gnat's flight. All they do is done within the balance of the whole. But so we, insofar as we have the power over the world and over one another, we must learn to do what the leaf and the whale and the wind do of their nature. We must learn to keep the balance. Having intelligence, we must not act in ignorance. Having choice, we must not act without responsibility. The inhabitants of the earth are of two sorts: those with brains but no religion, and those with religion but no brains. The barrier during self-improvement is not so much that we hate learning, rather we hate being taught to learn, entails that the knowledge was achieved on one's own a chord. It feels great, but to be taught often leaves a feeling of inferiority. Thus, it takes a bit of a determination and a lot of humility in order for one to fully develop ideas and not battles mark the forward process. And ideas and not battles mark the forward progress of mankind. Erraticized intelligence. One of the major difficulties Trillian experienced in her relationship with Zaphod was learning to distinguish between him pretending to be stupid just to get people off their guard, pretending to be stupid because he couldn't be bothered to think and wanted someone else to do it for him, pretending to be outrageously stupid to hide the fact that he actually didn't understand what was going on, and really being genuinely stupid. He was renowned and for being amazingly clever, and quite clearly was so, but not all the time, which obviously worried him, hence the act. He preferred people to be puzzled rather than contemptuous. I have a little theory that I'd like to air here, if I may. What is that you think makes you magicians? More silence fog was well into a rhetorical question territory. Now, anyway, he spoke more softly. It's because you are intelligent. It's because you are brave and good. It's because you're special. Maybe, who knows? But I'll tell you something. I think you're magicians because you're unhappy. A magician is strong because he feels pain. He feels the difference between what the world is and what he would make of it. Or what did you think that stuff in your chest was? A magician is strong because he hurts more than others. His wound is his strength. Most people carry that pain around inside in their whole lives until they kill the pain by other means, or until it kills them. But you, my friends, you found another way, a way to use the pain to burn it as fuel for light and warmth. You have learned to break the world that has tried to break you. I find the whole busyness of religion profoundly interesting, but it does mystify me that the otherwise intelligent people take it seriously. It is a law of nature we overlook, that intellectual versatility as the compensation. Versatility of intellectual versatility is the compensation for change, danger, and trouble. And animal are perfectly in harmony with this environment is a perfect mechanism. Nature never appeals to intelligence until habit and instinct are useless. There is no intelligence where there is no change and no need of a charge change. Only those animals partake of intelligence that have a huge variety of needs and dangers, and it has yet to be proven that intelligence has any survival value. What seduces by signal and intelligence without nerdiness. I cannot claim that I was smarter than 65 other guys, but the average of 65 other guys, certainly I don't care about someone being intelligent. Any situation between people when they are really human with each other produces intelligence. Despite my firm convictions, I have been always a man who tries to face facts and to accept the reality of life as new experience and new knowledge unfolds it. I have always kept an open mind, which is necessary to a flexibility that must go hand in hand with every form of intelligent search for truth. Every true genius is bound to be naive. I think a wordplay can be so fucking sexy. I love a good mind fuck. Many much learned men have no intelligence, emotion, often not wits, intelligence, while intuition renders life surprisingly fluent and enjoyable. Spent forever. And Bob show Holmes a drop of water, show Sherlock Holmes a drop of water, and he would deduce the existence of the Atlantic. Show it to me, and I would look for a tap. That was the difference between us. I mean, to say I know perfectly well, but I've got, roughly speaking, half the amount of a brain a normal bloke ought to possess. And when a girl comes along who has about twice the regular allowance, she too often makes a line for me with the love light in her eyes. I don't know how to account for it, but it is so. It may be nature's provision for maintaining the balance of a species, sir. Spent never ender forever. A fool always finds a greater fool to admire him. A fool always finds a greater fool to admire him. She has man's brain, a brain that a man should have, where he much gifted, and woman's heart, the good God fashioned her for a purpose. Believe me, when he made that so good combination, a woman may possess the wisdom and chastity of Minerva, and we give up no heed to her. If she has a plain face, but foul folly will not appear. Bright eyes make pardonable. what dullness may not read. Lips are sweet accents are render a pleasant, and so with her their unusual sense of justice. Ladies argue that because a woman is handsome, therefore she is a fool. Or ladies, there are some of you who are neither handsome nor wise. Absurdity is the ecstasy of intellectualism. Always be smarter than the people who hire you. She will try to find a nice way to exercise intelligence, but intelligence is not ladylike. Intelligence is full of excesses. Rigorous intelligence abhors sentimentality, and woman must be sentimental to value a dreadful stillness of the men around them. A morbid intelligence abhors the cheery sunlight of positive thinking and eternal sweetness, and woman must be sunlight and cheery and sweet, or the woman could be nor bribe her way with smiles through a day. Wild intelligence abhors any narrow world, and a world of a woman must stay narrow, or if a woman is an outlaw, and a woman could be without ending up in a whorehouse or a lobotomized. Any vital intelligence has passionate questions, aggressive answers, but women cannot be explorers. There can be no Lewis or Clark of the female mind. Rhymes all night. Nice, wise. Intelligence alone is not nearly enough when it comes to acting wisely. A book is a mirror, and if an ape looks into it, an apostle is hardly likely to look out. The powers of a mind are directly proportioned to the quantity of coffee he drinks. There's a stark difference between the words prodigy and genius. Prodigies can very quickly learn what other people have already figured out. Geniuses discover that which no one has ever previously discovered. Prodigies learn, geniuses do. We know that the war against intelligence is always waged in the name of common sense. Oh, gentlemen, perhaps I really regard myself as an intelligent man only because throughout my entire life I've never been able to start or finish anything. Granted, I'm a babbler, a harmless, irksome babbler, as we all are, but what's to be done if the sole and express purpose of every intelligent man is babble, that is a deliberate pouring from empty into a void. This is probably the advantage of being stupid. Stupid people just do. We tend to overthink. If we could eliminate the over and just think, then we could do too. Only we'd be smarter doers because we'd be thinkers. It is not worth an intelligent man's time to be in the majority. By definition, there are already enough people to do that. Belief is the death of intelligence. As soon as one believes a doctrine or any sort, or assumes certitude, one stops thinking about that aspect of existence. There are the times in which a genius would wish to live. It is not in the still calm of life or the repose of the specific station. Great characters are formed. The habitats of vigorous mind are formed and contending with difficulties. Great necessities call out great virtues when a mind is raised and animated by scenes that engage the heart. Then those qualities which would otherwise lay dormant wake into life and form the character of the hero and the statesman. The scientist does not study nature because it is useful to do so. He studies it because he takes pleasure in it, and he takes pleasure in it because it is beautiful. If nature were not beautiful, it would not be worth knowing, and life would not be worth living. I am not speaking, of course, of the beauty which strikes the senses, of the beauty of qualities and appearances. I am far from despising this, but that has nothing to do with science. What I mean is that a more intimate beauty which comes from the harmonious order of its parts, in which pure intelligence can grasp. Spitting never-ending freestyle raps where all think alike. No one thinks very much. Where all think alike. No one thinks very much. We have become, by the power of a glorious evolutionary accident called intelligence, the stewards of life's continuity on earth. We did not ask for this role, but we cannot abjure it. We may not be suited to it, but here we are. If reason ruled the world, would history even exist? If reason ruled the world, would history even exist? It's hard to decide who's truly brilliant. It's easier to see who's driven, which in the long run may be important. Intelligent life on other planets, I'm not even sure there is on Earth. The moon is the reflection of your heart, and the moonlight is the twinkle of your love. The man of thought who will not act as ineffective, the man of action who will not think as dangerous. I will tell you why we have these extraordinary minds and souls. Miss Whittaker, he continued, as though he not heard her. We have them because there is a supreme intelligence in the universe, which wishes for communion with us. The supreme intelligence longs to be known, and it calls out to us, it draws us close to its mystery and grants us these remarkable minds in order that we try to reach for it. It wants us to find it and wants a union with us more than anything. Intelligence is not a competition, as she said. There is plenty to go around, and there are many ways it can be demonstrated. A marriage of two independent and equally irritable intelligence seem to me reckless to the point of insanity. Spent in monopoly of intelligence, desire, self-control. Children want candy. The intelligent desire, self-control. Children want candy. I want candy. Span. Welcome to the candy shop. I'll let you lick on my lollipop. Lollipop, ploppity plop. Welcome to the candy shop. I'll let you lick on a lollipop, ploppity plop. Yeah. That's why human beings are the most intelligent species on the planet. Not because of our brawn, but because of our brain. Insane.